Hi, Colleen O'Brien here, certified theta healer, and I wanted to share an experience that I had in some self-healing, and it relates to this practice group that I have coming up in January about you versus the creator. Lately, I've had a lot of belief work that has been coming up where I am really just butting my head against God. And I had a really, really interesting experience. And this is an example of how it may show up for you. Because when I started, I didn't think it was about God at all. So I live in an apartment building, and so one of my neighbors cooks frequently, and he just stinks up the place to the point where even when I have all of my windows and doors closed, the stench just invades my space, and sometimes it's just really disgusting and really triggery. And I've talked to the landlords about it, and I've gotten no response, and nothing really seems to change. So this happened again last night, and I was in a little bit more of a relaxed state when it happened. So I connected to Creator through the Theta Healing meditation, and I was like, hey, what can I do about this, Creator? And the simple response I got was, love him. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, ugh, fine, okay. So I connected to the seventh plane again and asked to send unconditional love to this particular neighbor who is stinking up the place. And it was totally conditional on my part because, of course, I was only doing it so that I could feel better, right? And I thought, well, let's expand it. Let's expand it to the building. That felt a little bit better because I live in the building, so that's definitely going to benefit me. And then, oh, well, there's other tenants who live in the building, and I know there's other tenants who sympathize with me because they also have the same issue. So that felt really good. I'm like, oh, let's send that unconditional love there. And then the thought came, well, send unconditional love to your landlords. And that was when I felt the resistance. I was like, oh, no way are we sending unconditional love their way. And I found that there was a lot of energy, that like revenge energy. I really wanted to punish those landlords. And it became very quickly apparent that my beliefs were not about the landlords. They were just a stand-in for God. I wanted to punish God. I wanted to get even with God. I wanted God to pay. And again, this was just all because, one neighbor cooks really terribly. Okay, you wouldn't think it would go this direction, but there it was. And I also got the discernment that this was very much a fifth plane version of God that I was battling against. And for those of you who aren't familiar with theta healing, the planes of existence is Etherian theta healing. And the seventh plane is what we connect to when we connect to what we call Creator. And that is the energy of all that is, the energy of unconditional love, the place where miracles can happen and be witnessed. And that is the entity that some people call God, some people call the universe or divine love. But there's also a fifth plane, which is the realm of duality. It's where a lot of religion gets a lot of their beliefs and dogmas. It's very much black and white, right and wrong. It's the realm of angels and demons. And so, for the longest time, I did not equate God with Creator. They were very distinct things that were very different in my subconscious mind. And so in this instance, the God that I was battling against was that dualistic, very kind of judgmental version of God that had a very fifth plane energy to it. And I was very stubbornly not about to yield. In fact, I found a belief that theta healing doesn't work that I was holding on my subconscious. I've been a theta healer for years. I believe it works. I've seen it work, but here I was in my subconscious holding this belief. And it was one of those ones that was anchoring in my refusal to yield. It was like I was playing chicken with God and making him blink first. Because if I were to yield, that meant that I would have to make myself wrong in order to get what I was requesting. So here were my landlords in my real, my 3D reality that I was requesting or praying for a change and not getting an answer. So it's very much like praying to a God, praying to an authority and not getting the response that you need, or any response, really. And that got my back up. That got me very, very angry, got stuck my heels in, was very stubborn about the entire thing, to the point where I had to be right at all costs, to the point where I had to be right more. My being right was more important than my actually getting the relief that I was requesting. It wasn't about whether or not I had a place to live that didn't get stinky every time a neighbor decided to cook. It was about my being right. And that's a really, really lower vibrational energy. It's a very revenge-based energy. And honestly, you can't manifest, you can't actualize the things that you're requesting to come into your life easily when you're in that energy. And this was something that was in my subconscious, right? This is not something that I would consciously go around doing. This was something that bubbled up because I have this not so considerate neighbor. But thank God I had this considerate neighbor, because who knows when or if this ever would have bubbled up or been triggered otherwise. So it was a really, really interesting healing to do, to be able to get that discernment between Creator and that fifth plane version of God, and to know that I was trying to so desperately not to yield and not to make myself wrong, that I was twisting myself into knots and making myself miserable, and not allowing myself to be extracted from a situation that I really didn't want to be in. So that's the kind of things that can come up when you start working, particularly on that soul level, of when you've got that revenge energy against God, when you've got those resentments against God, when you're really just butting heads. And that is the essence of the practice group of you versus the Creator. So I know some of you may have heard of the Growing Your Relationship certification class about you and the Creator, which is a Theta Healing certification class that I do have the certification to teach. This is not it. The practice group is very much focused on, let's get to the bottom of your beliefs where you are butting heads against God and it is holding you back from really moving forward with ease and co-creating with God and the Creator. How can you and the Creator work together to create the reality that you desire? So being able to break through those barriers and that really stubborn, that revenge energy, that anger that you have against God is what this practice group is about. So that's coming up in January of 2021, because there's still some material that is still coming forward. I will be happy to share stuff that comes up for me as I continue to work on myself about this. If you've got some other experiences that you want to share, I would love to hear about them as we move forward into that particular practice group. All you need to do to be in that practice group is to be a certified Theta healer. So if you've taken the basic class, then you are eligible to be part of the practice group. If you have not taken the basic class, but are interested in being a Theta healer and getting that certification, those classes are now available online from me, as well as many other Theta healers around the world. I currently do not have a basic class in between now, when I'm recording this, and when the practice group is taking place. But if there are enough people who are interested, we can always create a class and put that together, because again, it being online, it gives us a little more flexibility to be able to put that on the schedule and make that happen. So if there's any other questions I can answer for you, please let me know. I'm Colleen O'Brien, certified Theta healer, and it's been a pleasure to share some of the healing work that I do on myself, because it is fun, and particularly when it gets just really interesting and juicy like that. So I love celebrating sometimes the really icky stuff. It's like, wow. And again, I just did this healing on myself, just a few hours ago. So I'm curious to see how this may show up in terms of changing my relationship with my landlords, with my neighbors, whether or not this is actually going to open up my being able to easily move to a new place too. Or, is this place just going to smell a whole lot better as a result? I don't know. I don't know what's going to show up, but I'm really excited that hopefully I'm not going to be super triggered about it, or at least not as angry anymore, because again, that angry energy, it just plain doesn't feel good, and it's not going to allow me to actualize what it is that I want to have show up in my life. So if I can help you, if this was helpful to you, I am very, very grateful to have had the experience and to have shared it with you. So thank you again for watching so much, and I hope to see you in the practice group or somewhere soon. Bye-bye.